The patrol ship moved slowly through the empty space between stars. It was called the Whisper of Dawn, and it belonged to the Orion Coalition. The ship was not large. It was built for watching, not for fighting. Its job was simple. Go to new places. Look around. Report back. Commander Vel stood in the middle of the bridge. He had gray skin that looked almost silver in the ship's soft lights. His eyes were large and dark, like two pools of black water. He had served on ships like this one for 40 cycles. That was a very long time. He had seen many strange things in space. Dying stars. Clouds of gas that glowed with fire. Planets made entirely of ice. He had even found 17 different species that could travel between stars. Nothing had ever scared him. Not until today. Commander, something is wrong with the sensors. The voice came from Lieutenant Mora. She sat at her station on the left side of the bridge. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. Her face looked worried. Mora was young, but she was very good at her job. She knew the sensor systems better than anyone on the ship. Vel walked over to her station. What do you mean wrong? I am getting readings that do not make sense. Mora pointed at her screen. Look here. The mass sensors say there is something out there. Something big. But when I try to scan it directly, I get nothing back. Vel looked at the screen. She was right. The mass sensors showed several large objects moving through space. They were in a formation. That meant they were ships. But the other sensors showed empty space. No heat, no energy, no signals of any kind. Run the scan again, Vel ordered. Mora did as he asked. The result was the same. The mass sensors said the objects were there. Everything else said they were not. This is not possible, Mora said quietly. Ships cannot hide from our sensors. Not completely. Every ship gives off heat. Every ship reflects light. Every ship sends out some kind of signal. These things are getting us nothing. Vel felt something cold move through his body. It was fear. He did not like the feeling. He had not felt it in a very long time. How many objects? He asked. 12. They are moving in perfect formation. The largest one is... Commander, the largest one is 10 times our size. Vel turned to his pilot. Slow our approach. Keep us at this distance. The pilot nodded and adjusted their course. The Whisper of Dawn stopped moving forward. It now sat still in space, watching the impossible objects in the distance. Try every frequency, Vel said to Mora. Use every scanning method we have. I want to know what those things are. Mora worked for several minutes. She tried radio waves. She tried light beams. She tried deep scanning technology that was normally used to look inside asteroids. Nothing worked. The objects remained invisible to everything except the mass sensors. I do not understand, Mora said. Her voice was shaking now. They are absorbing everything we send. Our scans hit them and disappear. It is like they are made of nothing, like they are holes in space. Vel stared at the screen. 12 objects. 12 ships. 12 ghosts that should not exist. His mind tried to find an explanation. Maybe it was a natural phenomenon. Maybe it was some kind of space creature they had never seen before. Maybe their sensors were broken. But deep down, he knew the truth. These were ships. Real ships. And whoever had built them had technology far beyond anything the Coalition had ever seen. Should we get closer? The pilot asked. No, Vel shook his head. We stay here. We watch. We do not approach until we understand what we are dealing with. The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at their screens. Everyone waited. The unknown ships did not move. They just sat there in the darkness, invisible and silent. Then something happened that made Vel's heart stop. A single pulse of energy came from the largest object. It was a simple electromagnetic wave. Nothing dangerous. But it hit the Whisper of Dawn directly, perfectly, like a finger tapping on a window. They knew. Whatever was hiding out there, they knew exactly where Vel's ship was. They had known the whole time. "Commander." Mora's voice was barely a whisper. "I saw it." Another pulse came. Then another. They were regular now. Like a heartbeat. Like a message that said, "We see you. We know you are there." Vel grabbed the edge of Mora's console. His hands were shaking. He had faced pirates. He had survived a collision with an asteroid. He had watched a star explode from closer than any ship should ever go. None of those things had scared him like this. This was different. This was something completely new. Something unknown. And in all his years of exploring space, Vel had learned one important lesson. The unknown was always dangerous. "Send a message back," he ordered. "Standard greeting protocol. Let them know we come in peace." The communications officer, a thin male named Till, worked his controls. "Message sent, Commander." They waited. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then 5. No response came. The pulses continued. Regular, patient, watching. "They are not answering," Till said. "Maybe they do not understand our language," Mura suggested. Vel shook his head. "They understand. They just choose not to respond." He looked at the screen again. 12 invisible ships. 12 ghosts in the darkness. They had every advantage. They could see the Whisper of Dawn perfectly. But Vel's ship could barely detect them at all. If they wanted to attack, there would be nothing he could do to stop them. But they did not attack. They just watched. And somehow, that was even more frightening. "What do we do?" Mora asked. Vel took a deep breath. He was the commander. His crew was looking to him for answers. He had to be strong, even if he did not feel strong. "We wait," he said. "We watch. And we pray that whoever is out there does not decide we are their enemy." The Whisper of Dawn sat alone in the cold darkness of space. And somewhere in front of them, hidden in the void like predators waiting to strike, 12 ghost ships continued their silent observation. The first encounter had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. Admiral Grace Turner stood on the bridge of the USS Valor with her hands behind her back. She was 62 years old. Her hair was gray, cut short in a military style. Her face was calm. Her eyes were sharp and focused. She had commanded warships for 30 years. She had seen battle. She had lost friends. She had made hard choices that kept her awake at night. But today was different. Today was not about war. Today was about meeting someone new. "Report," she said. Captain Mike Reynolds looked up from his console. He was younger than the Admiral by 20 years. He had brown hair and a thick beard. His voice was steady when he spoke. "The alien vessel has stopped moving. They are holding position about 300,000 kilometers away. They have been scanning us for the past 10 minutes. And what are they finding?" Reynolds smiled a little. "Nothing, Admiral. Our stealth systems are working perfectly. As far as their sensors are concerned, we do not exist." Admiral Turner nodded. This was what she had expected. The Valor and its fleet had been designed for exactly this purpose. Every surface was covered with special material that absorbed radar waves. Every system ran on minimal power. Every bit of heat the ship produced was captured and stored instead of being released into space. To normal sensors, the human fleet was invisible. They were ghosts, shadows in the void. 12 warships that could move through space without being seen. They are increasing their scanning power, said Lieutenant Amy Park. She was a small woman with black hair tied back in a ponytail. She worked at the sensor station on the right side of the bridge. They are trying very hard to find us. Let them try, Turner said. They will not succeed. The Admiral walked slowly across the bridge. She looked at each of her officers. These were good people. Smart people. They had trained for 15 years for this moment. The first contact between humanity and an alien species. Earth's governments had argued for a long time about how this should happen. Some people wanted to approach aliens with open hands and peaceful words. They said humanity should show that they were friendly. They should appear weak and harmless. Other people disagreed. They said the universe was dangerous. They said humanity should hide until they understood what threats existed. They should watch from the shadows and learn. Admiral Turner had proposed a third option. Honesty. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not aggressive. Humanity was something in between. They were survivors. They had crawled out of caves and built cities. They had fought wars and made peace. They had destroyed and created. They had learned again and again that the only way to be safe was to be strong. The stealth fleet was a demonstration of that truth. It said, "We can hide from you. We can watch you without being seen. We have the power to strike without warning. But we choose not to. We choose to reveal ourselves. We choose to talk." How big is their ship? Turner asked. Small, Reynolds answered. About the size of a frigate. Light weapons. Probably a scout or reconnaissance vessel. Good. That means they are here to learn, not to fight. Turner turned to face the main view screen. It showed the alien ship as a small dot of light in the distance. Time to introduce ourselves? She pressed a button on her chair. Her voice went out to every ship in the fleet. All vessels, this is Admiral Turner. Prepare for Phase 2. On my command, we will deactivate stealth systems and reveal our position. This is what we train for. Stay calm. Stay professional. Let them see what humanity really looks like. She waited for 3 seconds. Then she gave the order. Now, all across the fleet, switches were flipped. Stealth systems went offline. Heat vents opened. Energy began to flow freely. The 12 ships that had been invisible suddenly appeared on every sensor in the area. And they did not appear quietly. The Valor alone had enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Its engine core burned hotter than the surface of a star. Its shields could stop anything short of a nuclear explosion. When it stopped hiding, it did not look like a ghost anymore. It looked like a monster. Lieutenant Park watched her screens with wide eyes. The alien ship is reacting. Their sensors just went crazy. I think we overloaded them. They were not expecting that, Reynolds said. He sounded impressed. Admiral Turner allowed herself a small smile. Good, that was the point. She watched the view screen as the alien ship began to move. It was turning, running. Their engines were pushing as hard as they could go. Should we follow them? Someone asked. No, Turner shook her head. Let them go. They need to report what they saw. They need to tell their leaders about us. The alien ship flew away as fast as it could. Within minutes, it had disappeared into the distance. The human fleet remained where it was, no longer hiding, blazing with light and power. Now comes the important part, Turner said. She turned to her communications officer, a young man named Danny Cole. Prepare a message for transmission. Include our basic language files, mathematical constants, and a standard peaceful greeting. Cole nodded and began working. What else should I include, Admiral? Turner thought for a moment. This was the decision that would shape everything that came after. The message she sent today would be studied by alien minds for years. It needed to say exactly the right thing. Include the technical specifications for our stealth systems. Everyone on the bridge looked at her in surprise. Reynolds stepped forward. Admiral, are you sure? That is classified information. If we give them our secrets, I am sure. Turner's voice was firm. They need to understand what happened here today. They need to know that we were invisible, not because we were hiding. We were invisible because we chose to be. And we showed ourselves because we chose to do that too. She walked back to her command chair and sat down. We are not trying to scare them. We are trying to earn their respect. And the only way to do that is to be completely honest. Let them see our strength. Let them understand what we can do. And let them see that we choose peace even though we could choose war. Cole finished preparing the message. Ready to transmit, Admiral. Send it. The message flew out into space, chasing the fleeing alien ship. It carried words of friendship. It carried proof of human technology. And it carried a simple truth that humanity had learned through thousands of years of painful history. Peace was only real when it was backed by power. Words meant nothing without the strength to defend them. And the best way to prevent a fight was to show your enemy that fighting would cost them everything. Admiral Turner watched the stars through the view screen. Somewhere out there, alien beings were seeing humans for the first time. They were learning about a new species that could become invisible and visible at will. A species that chose to reveal itself instead of staying hidden. A species that offered friendship while carrying weapons. She wondered what they would think. She wondered what they would do. But she was not worried. Whatever happened next, humanity was ready. They had spent 15 years preparing for this moment. They had built ships that could become ghosts. They had trained crews that could face the unknown without fear. And most importantly, they had remembered the lesson that had kept them alive since the beginning of their history. Hope for peace. Prepare for war. And never, ever let anyone think you are weak. The first contact was complete. Now the real work would begin. The sensor console was screaming. It was not a quiet beep or a soft warning. It was a high, sharp sound that hurt Mara's ears. She had never heard anything like it. Her hands moved fast, trying to shut it down, but the sound kept getting louder. Turn it off, Commander Vell shouted. I am trying. Mora's fingers flew across the controls. Finally, she found the emergency shutdown. The screaming stopped. The bridge fell silent. Everyone was breathing hard. Mora's heart was beating so fast she could feel it in her throat. Her hands were shaking. She looked at her screen and felt her blood turn cold. The ghosts were gone. In their place were 12 monsters. What happened? Vell demanded. He was standing beside her now, looking at the same screen. His face had gone pale. His large dark eyes were wide with shock. They revealed themselves, Mora said. Her voice came out as a whisper. All of them. At the same time. They turned off whatever was hiding them, and now we can see everything. The screen showed what everything meant. 12 ships. The smallest was 3 times the size of the Whisper of Dawn. The largest was enormous. It was shaped like a blade, long and sharp, with weapons covering every surface. Energy readings pulsed from its engine core. The heat it produced was incredible. It was like looking at a small star. That is impossible, said Till, the communications officer. No ship can produce that much energy. The reactor would melt. The crew would die from radiation. Apparently not, Mora said. These ships are doing it. Right now. Right in front of us. Vell stared at the screen. He had seen warships before. The Coalition had many of them. They were powerful vessels, built for battle, armed with weapons that could crack open a planet. He had always thought they were the most dangerous things in space. He had been wrong. The alien ships, the ghost ships, were something completely different. They did not just carry weapons. They were weapons. Every part of them was designed for destruction. Their armor was thick. Their shields were strong. Their weapon systems were so numerous that Morris sensors could not count them all. And they had been invisible. Completely invisible. Until they chose not to be. They were testing us, Val said slowly. They wanted to see how we would react. They wanted to see if we would run or fight. We did neither, Mora pointed out. We just sat here. And now they are showing us what they can do. Val's hands clenched into fists. They want us to understand. They want us to know that if they wanted to destroy us, they could. We would never see them coming. We would never have a chance to fight back. The bridge crew looked at each other. Fear was written on every face. These were not soldiers. They were scientists and explorers. They had signed up to discover new things, not to face invisible death machines. Should we run? The pilot asked. His voice cracked slightly. Vel considered the question. Running made sense. Every instinct in his body told him to get away from these things as fast as possible. But something stopped him. The aliens had not attacked. They had revealed themselves, shown their power, but they had not fired a single shot. Why? Wait, he said. We wait and see what they do next. They did not have to wait long. A signal came from the largest ship. It was not an attack. It was a message. Data flowed into the whisper of Dawn's computers. Words, numbers, symbols. They are communicating, Till said. He was working at his console, trying to make sense of what he was receiving. It is some kind of language package. They are trying to help us understand them. Can you translate it? Give me time. Till worked in silence for several minutes. The rest of the bridge watched the alien ships on the view screen. They had not moved. They just sat there, glowing with power, waiting. Finally, Till looked up. I have something. Their language is based on mathematical principles. That makes translation easier. The basic message is a greeting. They say they come in peace. They want to talk. Peace? Mora laughed. It was not a happy sound. Those ships could destroy our entire fleet. They are talking about peace while pointing the biggest guns I have ever seen at us. But they have not fired, Val said. They could have attacked us at any time. We would never have known until we were dead. Instead, they revealed themselves. They showed us what they can do. And now they are saying they want peace. He walked to the center of the bridge. His mind was racing. He was trying to understand what these aliens were thinking. Why show your power if you want peace? Why reveal your weapons if you do not plan to use them? Then it hit him. The answer was so simple, he almost laughed. They are being honest, he said. What do you mean? Mora asked. Think about it. If they had approached us with their stealth systems active, we would not know what they could do. We would meet them, talk to them, maybe become friends with them. But we would never truly understand them. We would never know that they could destroy us whenever they wanted. Val turned to face his crew. They do not want that. They want us to know the truth from the beginning. They are saying, this is what we are. This is what we can do. Now, knowing all of that, do you still want to be friends? The bridge was silent. Everyone was thinking about what the commander had said. That is either very wise or very arrogant, Till said finally. Maybe both. Vel allowed himself a small smile. But it is honest. And I respect honesty. He turned to the pilot. Take us out of here. Slowly. Do not make any sudden moves. We are going home. We are leaving? We have to. Our leaders need to know what we found. They need to see these recordings. They need to understand what is out there. The whisper of dawn began to move. It turned slowly, carefully, always keeping the alien ships in view. The 12 ghost ships did not follow. They did not try to stop the retreat. They just watched with their strange, cold sensors. As the distance grew, Mara took one last reading of the alien fleet. The data she collected would change everything. It showed ships that could become invisible. It showed weapons that could destroy worlds. It showed technology so advanced that the Coalition would need decades to understand it. And wrapped around all of that power was a simple message of peace. "What do you think will happen now?" she asked Bell. The commander looked at the view screen. The alien ships were becoming smaller as they flew away. Soon they would be gone, lost in the darkness between stars. "I do not know," he said honestly. "But I think the universe just got a lot more interesting." The whisper of dawn jumped to faster than light speed. Behind them, the ghost ships remained, waiting, watching, ready for whatever came next. The first meeting was over, but the story was just beginning. Admiral Turner watched the alien ship disappear into the darkness. The sensors tracked it until it jumped to faster than light speed. Then it was gone, flying back to wherever it had come from. "They are retreating," Captain Reynolds said. He was standing beside the Admiral, looking at the same view screen. "Think they will come back?" Eventually, Turner turned away from the screen. "But not today. Today they will run home and tell everyone what they saw." The bridge of the Valor was busy. Officers worked at their stations, recording data, running calculations, preparing reports. Everyone knew that what had happened here was historic. For the first time in human history, they had made contact with an intelligent alien species. And they had done it their way. Turner walked to her command chair and sat down. She was tired. Not physically tired, but mentally. She had been planning for this moment for 15 years. 15 years of meetings. 15 years of arguments. 15 years of preparing for every possible situation. Now it was done. The first contact had happened, and nobody had died. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park said from her sensor station, "the alien ship's last transmission has been recorded. They sent something just before they jumped. What was it?" "A data packet. It looks like they copied everything we sent them, plus their own sensor readings of our fleet. They are taking proof back with them." Turner nodded. "Good. That is exactly what we wanted." Danny Cole, the communications officer, looked up from his console. "Admiral, I have finished analyzing the alien ship. Based on their technology level, I estimate their civilization is about 2,000 years ahead of where we were before we developed stealth systems. But behind us now? In some areas, yes. Their weapons are advanced. Their shields are strong. Their engines are fast. But their sensors are based on principles we abandoned 300 years ago. They never even considered that ships could be invisible." Turner smiled slightly. "They have never had to hide. They have never been prey." Reynolds frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean they have probably been the most advanced species in their region of space. They have never met anyone stronger than them. They have never needed to develop stealth because they have always been the hunters, not the hunted." The Admiral stood up and walked to the view screen. She looked at the stars stretching out in every direction. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were living their lives, unaware that everything was about to change. "Humans are different," she continued. "We have always been hunted. First by animals bigger and stronger than us. Then by each other. We learned early that the best way to survive was to hide. To watch. To wait for the right moment to strike." She turned to face her crew. "That is why we developed stealth technology. Not because we wanted to conquer. Not because we wanted to destroy. We developed it because we wanted to survive. And that instinct, that need to survive, has made us something unique in the universe." Reynolds nodded slowly. A species that can appear and disappear at will. A species that chooses when to be seen. Exactly. Turner walked back to her chair. And that is the message we just sent. We showed them that we can be ghosts. We showed them that we can become visible whenever we choose. And then we offered friendship. Some people might see that as a threat, Park pointed out. Some people will. But smart people will understand. Turner sat down. We are not threatening them. We are being honest with them. We are saying, this is who we are. This is what we can do. Now you know the truth. What you do with that truth is up to you. The bridge fell quiet. Everyone was thinking about what the Admiral had said. The weight of history pressed down on them. They were the first humans to meet aliens. The decisions they made today would shape the future of their entire species. What happens next? Cole asked. Turner thought for a moment. We wait. The aliens will take our message back to their leaders. Those leaders will study it. They will argue about it. They will try to decide what to do. And if they decide we are a threat, then they will come back with warships instead of scouts. And we will be ready for them. Reynolds looked worried. Do you think that will happen? I hope not. Turner's voice was soft. I did not spend 15 years building this fleet because I wanted war. I built it because I wanted peace. Real peace. The kind that lasts. She looked at the view screen again. But peace cannot be built on lies. Peace cannot be built on weakness. If we had approached them with our hands open and our shields down, they would have seen us as easy targets. They might have conquered us. They might have enslaved us. They definitely would not have respected us. So we showed them our teeth instead, Reynolds said. We showed them the truth. We showed them that we are strong. We showed them that we can fight if we have to. And then we showed them that we do not want to fight. We want to talk. We want to trade. We want to be friends. Turner smiled, but there was sadness in her eyes. That is the best we can do. We cannot control how they respond. We can only control what we offer. And we are offering honesty. Complete honesty. I hope they appreciate it. Lieutenant Park suddenly sat up straight. Admiral, I am detecting something. A new signal. It is coming from the direction the alien ship went. Everyone turned to look at her. What kind of signal? It is. A reply. Park's eyes went wide. They received our language files. They are using them to send us a message. Turner stood up. Her heart was beating fast. What does it say? Park worked at her console for a moment. Then she looked up with an expression of wonder on her face. It says, we received your message. We understand your words. We will bring them to our leaders. We do not know what the future holds, but we thank you for your honesty. It is a gift we did not expect. The bridge was completely silent. Turner felt tears forming in her eyes. She blinked them away. She was an admiral. She could not cry in front of her crew. But inside, she was celebrating. The aliens had understood. They had seen the human fleet reveal itself. They had felt the fear of facing an enemy they could not see. And instead of reacting with anger, they had reacted with gratitude. It was a small step. Just a few words sent across the darkness of space. But it was a beginning. A real beginning. Send a reply, Turner ordered. Her voice was steady, but her heart was full. Tell them we look forward to meeting them again. Tell them we hope for friendship. And tell them that humanity will be waiting. Cole nodded and began typing. The message flew out into space, chasing the alien ship that was already far away. Admiral Turner sat back in her chair. She looked at the stars and smiled. The universe was full of unknowns, full of dangers, full of species that might want to destroy humanity. But today, none of that mattered. Today, humanity had made a friend, and that was worth more than all the weapons in the galaxy. The High Council chamber was the largest room on Coalition Prime. Its walls were made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Its ceiling was so high that it disappeared into shadows. Hundreds of representatives sat in curved rows, all facing a central platform where the most important speakers stood. Today, the chamber was full. Every seat was taken. Every representative was watching. And every face showed the same expression: fear. Councillor Drew stood at the central platform. He was the eldest member of the council. His skin was dark gray, almost black, and his eyes were clouded with age. But his voice was still strong. "We have all seen the recordings," he said. "We have all read the reports. Now we must decide what to do." A holographic image appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the human fleet at the moment of revelation. 12 ships blazing with power. 12 monsters that had been ghosts just seconds before. The representatives murmured to each other. Some looked away from the image. Others could not stop staring at it. Representative Toll stood up. She was younger than Drew, with silver skin and bright green eyes. Her voice shook slightly when she spoke. "This is a disaster. These beings have technology we cannot match. They can hide from our sensors completely. They could attack any world in the Coalition, and we would never see them coming." "They have not attacked anyone," another representative pointed out. "They let our ship go. They sent a message of peace. Peace backed by the threat of destruction." Toll pointed at the hologram. "Look at those weapons. Look at the size of that flagship. They are not offering peace. They are offering surrender." The chamber erupted in argument. Representatives shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate military action. Others called for calm. The noise grew louder and louder until Councillor Drew raised his hand. Silence. The shouting stopped. Everyone looked at the old councillor. "We have heard enough opinions," Drew said. "Now let us hear from someone who was actually there. Commander Vel, please step forward." Vel had been standing at the edge of the platform, waiting. He walked forward slowly. He was still wearing his service uniform. He had not slept in 2 days. Dark circles lined his eyes, and his movements were tired. But when he spoke, his voice was clear. "I have served the Coalition for 40 cycles. I have met 17 different species. I have faced dangers that would make most of you run screaming. But I have never experienced anything like what happened in that system." He paused, looking around the chamber. "When those ships revealed themselves, I felt fear. Real fear. The kind that makes you forget everything you know. The kind that makes you want to curl up and hide. I am not ashamed to admit this. Anyone in my position would have felt the same." Toll made a sound of disgust. "So you want us to surrender? To bow down to these humans?" "No." Vel's voice was sharp. "I want you to understand what I understood out there, in the darkness, facing 12 invisible warships." He walked to the hologram and gestured at it. "Look at this fleet. Look at the power. Look at the technology. These humans could have destroyed my ship in seconds. They could have killed my crew without any of us knowing what happened. They had every advantage." Vel turned to face the council. But they did not attack. They revealed themselves. They showed us exactly what they could do. And then they sent a message of peace. "A message backed by weapons," Toll insisted. "Yes," Vel almost shouted the word. "A message backed by weapons. And that is exactly why we should trust it." The chamber fell silent. Everyone was staring at the commander. "Think about it," Vel continued. "If the humans were conquerors, they would not have shown themselves. They would have stayed hidden. They would have used their stealth to attack our worlds one by one. We would never have known who was killing us. We would never have had a chance to fight back. He pointed at the hologram again. But they did not do that. They came to us openly. They showed us their strength. They said, "This is what we are. This is what we can do. Now, knowing all of this, we offer you friendship." Counselor Drew nodded slowly. "You believe they are being honest?" "I believe they are survivors." Vel's voice softened. "I looked at their ships, and I saw the same thing I see when I look in a mirror. Fear, caution, the need to be ready for anything. These are not conquerors. These are beings who have learned that the universe is dangerous. They have learned to hide. They have learned to watch. And they have learned that showing weakness invites attack." He took a deep breath. "They are offering us something rare. They are offering us the truth about who they are. No lies, no tricks. Just honest strength and an invitation to be friends." Representative Toll sat down slowly. Her expression had changed. She still looked worried, but the anger was gone. "What do you suggest we do?" she asked. Val smiled for the first time since the encounter. "I suggest we accept their offer. I suggest we send ambassadors. I suggest we learn about them and let them learn about us. Not because we are afraid of them, but because they have shown us respect. They deserve respect in return." Counselor Drew looked around the chamber. The representatives were quiet now. They were thinking. They were considering. "We will vote," Drew announced. "All in favor of opening diplomatic relations with the humans, raise your hand." Hands went up across the chamber. Slowly at first, then faster. More and more representatives raised their hands until the majority was clear. "It is decided." Drew's old face broke into a smile. "We will meet the humans not as enemies, but as potential friends. May this be the beginning of something good for all of us." The chamber filled with the sound of voices. But this time, they were not arguing. They were discussing, planning, hoping. Commander Vel stepped back from the platform. He felt exhausted. But deep inside, he also felt something else. Pride. He had faced the unknown and survived. He had brought back a message that would change the coalition forever. And he had helped his people take the first step toward a new future. Somewhere out in space, 12 ghost ships were waiting. Waiting for the coalition's answer. Waiting to see if their offer of friendship would be accepted. And soon, very soon, they would get their answer. The first encounter was over. But the real adventure was just beginning. Humanity had shown the galaxy what they were. Strong, hidden, dangerous, and at the same time, honest, peaceful, ready for friendship. It was a strange combination. But then again, humans were a strange species. And the universe would never be the same again.